So good day. I'm really excited about this. I have my guest here, Helly, Helskyaho, which I probably butchered her name, even though I just asked her how to say it. But she's from Finland, and she is also Oracle ACE Director and a winner in the database design category for the recent Devvies. So congratulations, Helly. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And a very well-deserved one in the database design category. I mean, you literally wrote the book on using SQL Developer to, do database design in that. And I know that you give a lot of your time, whether it be presenting. I know you teach at the local university. I'm just actually interested in, I have a daughter. She's kind of lending towards engineering, maybe computer science, and that. You're very active in women's in technology. How did you get into technology in the first place?
By accident. I think that's the only answer. I would love to say that I always wanted to be on technology. It was a great plan. I always planned it, but I didn't. I just ended up accidentally. At university, I wanted to study economics, but they didn't accept me. I actually missed it one 100% or something, very, very small points. I missed getting into the economics, but I did get into mathematics, which was great.
Okay.
And because I always enjoyed mathematics. So I was studying mathematics, and I took some computer science courses because I was told it's useful. And it made no sense to me. I was sitting in a course and I was thinking, I must be stupid or something because everybody else was getting it. And I was, what is this teacher talking about? And I really didn't understand anything. But I always enjoyed challenges. So I took another course and another course and another course. And finally, I finished all the courses that a minor student can take. So I went to see the professor for mathematics and I asked, can I change to computer science because I want to study more?
Yeah.
And he was like, are you sure? I said, why? Because well, you are very good in math, but you are not very good in computer science.
He did not say that to you.
Yeah, he did. And I said, but that's why I want to study, because I want to learn it. I'm sure I can learn it one day, but now I just don't get it. And he said, okay, I signed the paper, but you are welcome any day back to math.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. So I changed to computer science. And actually, that was the change in my life, because then I started to realize what computer science is about. So suddenly I just understood what the teachers were saying. I got my first job in IT, which made a lot of sense because I finally had something real, not just theory, but real with computers.
Concrete. Yeah.
Yes, concrete. And the thing that actually my first real job with Oracle technology was on Computer Factory. So I was seeing the computers, how they are built, what kind of components they have, what are they doing, and so on. So that really made the sense to me. I understood what computer is doing, what software is doing, everything. I was like, wow, how come I didn't understand it earlier? And I think for me, it was also that I took some database courses and I learned about Oracle and databases in general. I was like, oh, this makes sense. Now I know what computers are about and what databases are about and why I want to use computers.
Wow.
So there was no plan at all.
Great story.
Yeah, so I'm very glad I didn't make it to economics because I'm sure I wouldn't have enjoyed it so much.
Oh, that's great.
Much more fun. Yeah.
So, Helly, you recently were the keynote in the Women's in Technology at Collaborate, and congratulations on doing your first keynote for Women's in Technology. And
thank you.
I did sit in on a panel at, I believe it was Kscope, where you were organizing one of those like lunch and learns, and you're very passionate about that. If you were giving advice to a young woman that is interested in taking up, technology and specifically Oracle, what would your advice be?
Say yes. That's what I said in my keynote too. So I think the problem with women is that we are very hesitant. When somebody's asking me, could you do this? Something very exciting. You are first thinking, maybe I can't do it because there is 10% chance I can't do it. Men don't think like that. So when a man is asked about do something, he will say immediately, of course I will do it, even though he knows he can't do it, but he will think I will learn it by that.
Yeah.
But but women are not that. Women are thinking like, oh, maybe I can't do it, and I will just, they can find somebody better, I'm sure. And we just say, oh, I think about it, which means no, and they will find somebody else. So the first thing is to learn to say yes. So when somebody's asking something, don't start the stupid hesitating process. Just say yes. Okay, I'll do it. And then if you later think that you can't do it, then go back and say, I'm sorry, but maybe I can't do it because I don't know enough about this.
Yeah, you can always work it out or learn it.
Yes, you can learn it. Men can do it too. Why can't we do it? Of course we can.
Exactly.
So I think that's the first thing. Learn to say yes. Of course I can do it. I will just study a bit and I will know how to do it. That's my first advice.
Excellent. That's great advice. I can totally see that. Helly, you do a lot of your work, your blogging is about database design, and you're very similar to Mark Hoaxie, who was saying you can't have a good application unless you have a good database design. And you were saying you can't have a good performance or maintenance unless you have good database design. And is there some good examples of, that you can share with us in terms of where people have not paid attention to design and, just completely botched it, or, where, paying attention to design really paid off in the end? Any examples of that?
Well, yes. The bad examples are usually the kind of examples where people have been designing the user interface and using some kind of generator to generate the DDLs for tables.
Okay.
I can see it immediately when I see the diagram. I can see there's billions of tables for no reason.
Okay.
So it's really not been designed. And when you see this kind of diagram, you know immediately they will hit performance problems. That's for sure. Having so many tables for no reason is definitely a problem. You're going to join in 50 tables each time you want to find out something from the database, which is not going to work for sure. So this example nowadays that you see quite often, because people are thinking it's enough to design the user interface, and it's some kind of side product to get the database, which is not true. You still have to design them both, the user application, the user interface, and the database. Otherwise, you have not done your job properly.
Yeah.
And good examples are that people really pay to attention what they are not trying to, they're designing the database, but not trying to design a general database, but a database for this purpose. So when they design it like that, they get a real database for this application. So not just some kind of database, but really a database for that purpose, which means that the data quality, which is always my priority one, will be good, because they have really thought about the data and the data quality, and the performance is as good as it can be because they have really designed the database for that application. So yes, it is always, you can always tell it if they have been designing the database for the purpose or not.
Okay.
Just a quick look. Yeah.
It's that obvious, huh?
It's very obvious.
Favorite tools? I know one of them is obviously Oracle SQL Developer Data Modeler when you're designing, because you wrote a whole book on it using it. So I could assume that safely. Any tools? First off, why do you like it so much in terms of, what is the selling points, although it's free for you? And then any other tools that you use when doing your job, getting stuff done?
Okay, so first of all, why data modeler? Yeah. Of course, it's free. But secondly, it helps you in every stage of your work. So when you are designing the database, all phases are supported. And also reverse engineering is supported, which is something that I sometimes use. Actually, I need a lot. So they have a lot of databases which are not designed and documented. So I start with reverse engineering. So the tool is supporting everything I do in my work. Mm-hmm. And secondly, all the files are XML files, and you can save them in version control.
Okay.
Which the first time in my life allows me to make mistakes. So before, I was not allowed to make mistakes, or if I make mistakes, I had to fix them. And I had to remember what I did before. Now the version control remembers for me, and I can always go back to the previous release and find what I had before. So I'm allowed to make mistakes. So I really enjoy that feature.
Nice.
Very good.
A little bit more forgiving.
Yes, finally. So, and also it's easier to integrate my work with the rest of the team. So all the other developers, they are just saving everything in version control. And they asked me to give version 3.5 of the database. I wasn't able to do it because I didn't have any versions of my database. I just had the latest version. But now I have the versions in version control. When they come and ask me for 3.5, I just go to version control, I find the DDLs for them, and I create database 3.5.
Gotcha.
So, it makes my life so much easier.
And they're asking for a specific version like that for testing because they haven't checked in features or what?
Yes, exactly. They want to test a certain version before going to production. Mm-hmm. And before I was just able to give the latest release, which was probably 4.7, not 3.5.
Yeah.
So it was not the correct version, but I was not able to do anything else unless I remembered what I did after 3.5, which I never remembered.
It wouldn't be impressive, but not much.
And another tool I use quite often, actually, every day is SQL Developer. So I just wrote another book with some of my colleagues, ACE directors as well, and that's about SQL and PL SQL. And I use SQL Developer most of the time for SQL and PL SQL.
Yeah,
I really like that tool too, and not less because it's very similar to Data Modeler. So I started with Data Modeler, and I came very familiar with it. So it's something I really know where to find things.
Oh, interesting.
So it's very easy for me to use. And then I started to use SQL Developer, which is so similar to Data Modeler. So I can easily find things from there too, because the user interface is so similar, so alike.
So I always thought the natural path for most people was they were already using SQL Developer, and then they went to Data Modeler. And you actually said that you have to do the other way.
Yes, exactly. I did the other way.
Interesting. Wow. So one of the blogs that you had there that was interesting for me was you did a whole blog about the cost of presentations, and where you actually had asked people, how much time do they spend preparing before presenting, and the actual cost of it, and then travel, and you're there for a conference, and so a couple of days there, and then travel back, and cost of lost opportunity. That was very interesting. And yet you guys still do it because it seemed fairly expensive.
Yes.
So, what is it that I guess you guys derive out of just sharing back to the community like that?
I love helping people. I got a lot of pleasure for helping people. So when I go to the event and I see that I can really help somebody is learning a lot of new things, and his or her job will be so much easier after this small tiny thing I just taught, I get a lot of pleasure about that. So I think that this is the thing for me. And another thing why I love to go to the events is that I meet people and I meet my friends. And that's also very valuable. And I know that when I'm helping other people, I can expect them to help me when I need help. Like when I'm using other Oracle products, which I'm not so familiar with, I do a lot of data warehousing. I need ODI, OBI, that kind of thing. So I can go to my friends and ask them to advise me how to do this thing. What should I do? What's the best tool for me, and so on. So if I help others, I can expect them to help me too.
Yeah. So you get a really good networking effect with those conferences.
Yes.
Excellent.
And I must say that I also enjoy presenting. I really like it. So people always say, are you not nervous before it? I said, yes, I'm nervous before, during, and after. So it's really consuming, but I still enjoy it.
Excellent. So you were also presenting at Apex Connect recently, standing room only, I heard. And would you like to? I haven't actually been to the Apex Connect conference. That's a fairly new one, isn't it?
Yes. This was the second. Yeah, the second time this year.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it was my first Apex conference. I've been to conferences where content has been about Apex, and I have been presenting about Apex. But this was the real Apex content conference. It was in Berlin, Germany. 311 attendees, if I remember correctly. So a lot of people. Very, very nice.
Yeah, that's a good number for a targeted conference.
I agree. Really good number. And for the second time, I'm sure after 10 years, it will be bigger and bigger. But the second time already 311. That's a lot of attendees. Very interesting content about Apex, SQL, PL SQL. Very good keynotes, very interesting keynotes from Oracle, but also from somebody who's researching monkeys.
Yes.
That was so interesting because he was showing their research around monkeys about different things like cooperation. Yeah. So there was a test that you had a grape, and if those two monkeys cooperated, one of them will get the grape. If they were not cooperating, none of them will get it.
Okay.
The test shows very clearly, he was showing a video about this test, that if monkeys like each other, they are willing to work together, and the other one will get the grape. It doesn't matter who will get it, but somebody will get it, and they like each other, they cooperate. But if the other one doesn't like the other one, they are not cooperating, and nobody will get the grape. Yeah. So that was so funny, because it was so clear and obvious.
Yeah.
I think people are the same. If we don't like somebody, we don't help this person.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's very important to have these face-to-face events, conferences, user groups, whatever, where you can meet people and learn to like them. Because one of the things he taught us was that when people, actually this was tested on children, when people are put together close to each other, they learn to like each other.
Yeah.
Even though they don't like before, but when they have been very close to each other for a long time, playing with Legos, they learn to like each other, and then they start cooperating. So really, it is good to have this kind of event where you can face-to-face meet people and learn to like them and start cooperating.
Excellent.
So that was really, really interesting presentation about monkeys and people.
Yep. So you mentioned, that's Apex, and do you do a lot of work with Apex?
A little bit, yes. Other people in my company do more, but I do a little bit.
Okay.
And I've been mostly testing and piloting, not really doing anything to production. But in the Oracle Cloud, which has been my interest now, I've been trying. I wanted to test the Oracle Cloud. So what I've been doing there, I've been playing with the database, SQL, and so on, and also with Apex. It's been very, very interesting. Excellent. And I wanted to do that to be able to answer the questions. So when people come to me, so if you saw the tweets from Apex Connect, one of the tweets was saying that I'm saying to customers or attendees that you shouldn't be afraid of the cloud. Yeah. So this is what somebody tweeted about my presentation. So that's my message. So I don't go and tell people you should all go to cloud, but I just say that cloud is not dangerous.
Yeah.
I have tested it and I have survived. So it's just
there we go.
It's just like any database anywhere. So it's not dangerous or anything.
Yeah.
That's my message.
I guess it was Anton Nielsen I was interviewing him, and he was saying Apex it's another tool. You just got to use it right. The cloud is another tool. You just got to use it right.
Exactly.
In the context of security and critical stuff, it's like even the best tools can be misused if you don't pay attention right.
Yes, exactly. So that's the main reason I've been doing Apex, to test the cloud and to understand what is the difference if I work in the cloud and not in the cloud. Not much difference.
And so far, there isn't much difference. It's been very, very similar to what you've experienced. This standalone Apex or on-premise.
Yes, very similar. A little bit maybe easier, because some of the things are maintained for me. I don't have to worry about them. So maybe a little bit easier than on-premises.
Yeah, that's true, because there's a bunch of stuff that is actually just done for you. Like updates, maintenance, stuff like that. The core infrastructure is taken care of, which I guess is always has always been the biggest selling point of cloud anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oracle Database 12c, any favorite features?
Plenty. Well, in memory, of course, is my number one in the current version. So in memory is the coolest thing for a long, long time. So in memory, definitely. Then some minor details on SQL and PL, mostly in PL SQL, like identity columns, maybe. What else? I've been working with 12 for so long already, I don't even remember what's new. It's so funny. That's how people work, they just take it for granted. Yeah. When it comes out, you are like, this is so cool.
Use it.
Yeah. But then you've been using it for a while and like, oh, this has been here for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And it's not really been there for long. But
so, if you don't mind me asking, in terms of how is the uptake for you, say, in your customer base, just as a snapshot? Are most of the people conservative about moving to the latest and greatest, or are a lot of them like you, where you're like, well, I'm going to play with the coolest and greatest, and and check it out? Or is it just a smattering of everybody and in between?
I think most of the people are very cautious.
Okay.
So they want to jump. They don't want to jump to the latest version just like that. But we already have quite a many 12C customers. So 12C is already old news. So it's not experimental anymore.
Exactly.
So already quite okay with 12C. But we do have still customers with Oracle 8 and 9 and 10 and 11. Yes. And usually the reason...
I have a T-shirt with Oracle 8 on it. Does that help?
I started with Oracle 6, so we are already quite far with Oracle 8.
Yeah.
But, I think the main reason is that you are using an application which is made by somebody else. So the vendor is not really upgrading it to the latest and greatest.
Third-party application that hasn't been updated and supported properly. That's the biggest reason I've heard for people being on really old versions of the database. Yeah. Otherwise, why would you? I mean, just by upgrading the database, you get so much faster. And less problems with maintenance and security. So that's typically what has been what I've heard as well, is that reason.
Yeah. Things that I have seen is that you bring all the data to the application server, you do the joining and filtering in the application server, and then you return the result. This can never be fast. Definitely never can be fast, because database is first of all designed for joining and filtering. And it's designed for processing data. Yeah. That's why it's database. Yes, and you only give the result to the application server, which might do something with the data before giving it to the end user. Yeah. But database is the core, and database is the place where you should be doing your queries, really, and processing the data. And that's something I'm always surprised when I see people not realizing that and bringing everything out from the database, which is, by the way, a security risk as well. If you bring everything out and you don't even think about it, it's a big security risk.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Helly, is there anything new or cool that you've been playing with recently? Maybe not in production, but just that piques your interest?
Big data. Because that's my research area. So at the university, I'm researching anything related to big data. It's really interesting, the big data world in general, because you have different kind of data. You have the relational, you have structured, unstructured, semi-structured, different kind of data. Yeah. And actually, my interest also is data exploration, which is that you are finding knowledge from this large amount of different kind of data without actually not knowing what you're looking for. So you're telling the system, give me interesting information. And the system is suggesting, this is quite interesting. Would you be interested about this? And no, give me something else. The system gives you something else. Oh, this is interesting. Tell me more about it. And the system suggests this more and more and more. It's very interesting that you can find interesting knowledge from the data. Yeah. And I think the biggest change in this area is that it's not just IT people. It's actually mostly non-IT people, like journalists, politicians, different kind of people who are not IT people. So the system should be helping these people to find knowledge. So they know their area, but they are not IT professionals. Yeah. So this gives a lot of pressure for the systems, how to help these people to find the information and the knowledge they need to be better in their job. So this will give a lot of pressure for us as IT people, because we need the user interface for them, and we need the performance in all the layers, in the user interface, middleware, database, and we need to understand the data. So even the unstructured data, we need to understand if this unstructured data is a cat video or recipe. Yeah. Because if it's the other one, this person is not interested. So we have to understand things better than before and be able to perform better than before. It's very interesting area, the big data area. And I think Oracle is working very hard on that. We just had this new visualization tool out maybe 2 days ago or 1 day ago from Oracle, which is one step to this direction again. Yeah. Helping those people to understand the data they have. Very interesting area.
Excellent. I'll be looking forward to your next presentation.
Yes, I just actually gave my first presentation about big data a week ago at the Finnish Exadata SIG, especially in the group. I was very well taken. Actually, somebody from the audience came to me after the presentation and said he has seen a lot of presentations about big data, but this was number one on his list. He said, this finally explained me what big data is about. I said, I'm glad. Because I've been really studying it, and I've been trying to understand the basics and the theories and that kind of thing, and not so much about the products yet, but now coming to the side, the product side as well.
And you're also very good about, I did notice when I've sat in on presentations of yours in the past, you're very good about distilling it down to something that is clear and concise. So it makes it a little easier to digest in terms of, for people that are fresh to a topic. I did notice that is like, I sat in on one of your database design and data modeling ones, and what you were talking about, the reverse engineering, is like I still kind of remember some of that, although I probably need to buy your book to really understand it. Awesome, Helly. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on just winning in the database design category for the Devvies. And keep up the good work, both in the WITI area or the WIT Women in Technology area, and also just in the community. So super appreciate it. Thanks for your contributions.
Thank you.